Live from a studio apartment, this is Missed Information. What's up, everyone? How's it going? Oh my gosh, I got a disaster going on here. I was trying to check my Kick because I stream on Kick, amongst other various websites. And the thing is, I've been signing up for these sweepstakes. There's like this sweepstakes website that I got messed up in. I was thinking I was going to win these sweepstakes. Anyways, I signed up for a bunch of them. And now I'm just signed up for a bunch of email lists. I've won nothing. But I go to open my Kick. And this is what I see. There's the kickoff with guacamole. Like every possible word I could put into a web browser will just pull up some horrible sweepstakes that I've signed all of my life over to. I've given them all of my information in hopes of winning this guacamole covered vehicle. Unfortunate. Let's check out what's going on with TikTok. Almost got banned on TikTok today again. Every time I post on that thing, I get like a strike on the account. But I appealed it, successful appeal. So they let my Tyler Robinson towel video fly, which is sweet. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of funny. It's all right. So good show tonight. We're going to talk about some stuff from the weekend too. We're going to go over Conor McGregor a little bit. Came out swinging with the kicks, didn't go so well. We're going to talk about Amy Coney Barrett. I always want to call her Comey Barrett, like James Comey. Talk about Amy Coney Barrett. A lot of people are saying that she should resign. Conservatives want her to resign. They say her opinion's being swayed by fear of leftist violence. We'll talk about that. Lindsey Graham passed away. And we'll get into the Candace Owens stuff. She's got a lot of press right now going on. Obviously, she's saying that Tyler Robinson, I don't know if she's saying that he's innocent, but she's saying that he didn't act alone with the shooting. So we'll get into that stuff. But first, some jokes. What's up? What's up, female Sam? Let me get rid of this thing. Yeah, I hope that works. Let's get a little bit bigger. That's what she said. Okay. Well, Conor McGregor tore his knee on the opening kick of UFC 329. Yeah. This is after breaking his other leg in his fight 5 years ago. Yeah. Apparently, after the fight, he went and got a new tattoo. Yeah. Just added a lower half to that gorilla. He's not doing too well. Piece of crap teleprompter. Well, a parasite causing explosive diarrhea has now spread to more than 30 U.S. states. Yeah, the outbreak was caused by Democrats trying to explain why mail-in ballots are totally normal. That's the way our elections have always been. Democrats just vote more by mail than Republicans do. So really, you see, it's not that. It's just always been like that. Nothing to see here. Well, after 2 recent shootings, ICE is suspending vehicle stops. Yeah, so in order for Mexican immigrants to stay in the country, they just can't park, which is a technique used for generations by Asian immigrants. Yeah. The Mexicans could learn a thing or two. They could show them the way. show them the whoops. Them was the jokes. What's up? Let's get into some news. How about this? Regular size. That's not what she said. Okay. Perfect. All right. What should we get into first? I guess let's talk about Amy Coney Barrett. So a lot of people are saying basically, I guess what happened is a couple of Supreme Court justices went in front of Congress to make a case for a larger budget for security. It was, I think, Kagan and then Amy Coney Barrett were there. I don't know if they were the only Supreme Court justices there. I'm sure we can look it up in a sec. But here's her making the case for increased security funding, and this is what people are talking about. You can listen in.
So I thought I would just share a little bit about how the threats have affected me and my family personally. They have required me to, my children, to think about and see things that children should not have to see or think about. One example is when threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak. My security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it. And I didn't know how to respond because maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one.
So that's her talking to Congress, getting more funding for security. So a lot of people online are saying stuff like this. We'll pull it up. This is how all women in power are when push comes to shove. They just don't have the temperament to deal with the pressures that come with holding power. It's genetic. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the biggest comment you see, but it's somewhere along those lines. That basically Amy Coney Barrett, her decisions are being swayed, a lot of people feel, by these threats of leftist violence. Now, I will say, when you look at that was a funny place to stop, but when you look at the picture of her, she does look pretty fearful in this. Her eyes are very wide, if you can read people's faces and stuff. I mean, throughout the testimony, her eyes are fairly wide.
Turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was. And
while she's talking, she seems kind of scared just detailing it. And I mean, that's probably reasonable. She has had death threats. She goes into, a lot of the justices are getting, it's not just the female ones, but all the justices are getting, well, the conservative ones, I guess, are getting mailed these envelopes that I think contain arsenic or something like that. And they are addressed to a previous judge whose, I think their son was murdered when they tried to murder the judge. So it's like a threat, a veiled threat towards the justices. Now, of course, all this started right around the time of, I think, Roe v. Wade, where they basically overturned Roe v. Wade, and that was like this big boilerplate issue where leftists started threatening her life and some of the other justices, okay? Here's somebody with a chart basically making the case that she should resign. Of course, conservatives aren't happy with Amy Coney Barrett in general because of a recent decision on birthright citizenship. A lot of conservatives wanted to see her side with the conservative majority there. She didn't. And that's one of the reasons that, along with Chief Justice Roberts, that it didn't pass, right? So now you have conservatives, excuse me, basically saying or trying to get her to resign so that Trump can go in there and pick, theoretically, a better nominee who's going to side more with the conservatives, which isn't particularly my favorite thing in the world. I know this isn't exactly the way that it's worked out, but I do actually prefer a court where there's a couple of swing votes and some of the justices, you're not sure if they're going to swing one way or the other. I like the court that way because I feel like that gives it more of a feeling of impartiality and a feeling of fairness. Now here's Wall Street Mav, I guess his name is, and originally Roscoe Smith, these names on Twitter. But they're pointing out Amy Coney Barrett's record tells a troubling story. Before Dobbs, I guess it's a women's health issue, she voted with the conservative position in 81% of non-unanimous cases. Since then, that number has dropped to 50 to 60%. So they're saying that there's a 20 to 30% swing, which they're attributing to her fear of leftist retaliation. And so she is hedging her bets and siding more and more with the Democrat, the liberal judges. Now you can hear in Amy Coney Barrett's own words here, she sort of addresses that towards the end of her statement here. I'll let you listen.
Seriously injured. So I think the message on these deliveries being sent in his name is clear. As Justice Kagan said, federal judges across the country, throughout the judiciary, including the Supreme Court, continue to do their jobs without fear or favor, but the threat level is really high.
Continue to do their jobs without fear and favor. So is that what she's doing? We don't know, right? But according to her and her words here, that's what she's aspiring to, right? Do I think that Amy Coney Barrett is actually consciously siding more with liberal justices to avoid retaliation? No, I don't. From her statement here, even, it sounds like she's aware of that, and she's basically coming before Congress to request more security, which there's certain people online saying, no, the justices should get no security. They should have to live with the world they create. Certainly a provocative concept. But if you wanted to protect, let's say, Amy Coney Barrett's ability to vote with the conservatives, exactly what you would want is more protection for the Supreme Court justices so that she could feel more comfortable doing that, right? As I was saying, I don't think that she's consciously making the decision to vote with the liberals due to safety concerns. However, just based on human nature, you've got to imagine that that's somehow playing a factor in the way that she's thinking about things, right? But if that's the case, then so is Justice Clarence Thomas, right? It's also having a factor in him. It's having a factor in Kavanaugh, right? It's having a factor in John Roberts, because they're all humans. So that's all going to have some sort of a factor. Now, whether it affects women more or not, you know, you can make the case one way or the other. But for me, I mean, the best bet, I wouldn't try to replace her. I don't think that the chart certainly does show she's sided more as like a swing voter on recent issues, but I don't think that that's necessary. I don't think you can tie that to any particular instance of leftist violence, and I don't think that I don't think that you necessarily would do any better bringing in a different conservative justice. You know, Trump had this shot. He picked the best pick that he could find, and there's no way for him to determine how somebody's going to vote on every single thing. So I would get the woman the protection that she's requesting, increase the budget, get her a bunch more, she was saying there were like Capitol Police or Supreme Court police outside of her home when it was swatted, and they were able to communicate with the cops as they were coming. That's the sort of stuff that you want. You ideally want her to feel protected so that she can make decisions that are true to herself. Whether she sides with the conservatives or not, I want her to side with what she thinks is right. I don't necessarily want her to pick a team. I want my Supreme Court justices to actually look at the text, use their brains, and make the best decision. Unfortunately, some of the liberal justices obviously aren't going to do that, so it's a little tough right now, but ideally that's how the Supreme Court should function. Okay, we got Candace Owens here. Let's just see if we could pull up. She's like all over the place right now. So, here's Candace here saying now that Charlie Kirk might have been killed because he refused to kill her. Refused to kill her. This is a recent theory. We'll listen in.
I know what my gut has told me about this situation from the moment that it took place. I know what beyond my gut and beyond my dreams.
All right, 1 second. If you're relying on your dreams as part of your evidence, I'm going to say slightly less credible in my eyes, but go on.
The statement from Andrew Colbert, it was supposed to be you. Was it? Was it? Is it fair to ask if it's plausible that when Charlie was taken to the Hamptons, the phone call no one wants to address from Bibi Netanyahu, is it fair to ask the question if it was literally supposed to be me who was...
Well, what happened in the dream? That's really the crux of it, isn't it?
Supposed to be back on tour with Charlie? Did he say no to killing Candace Owens? And then did he become a liability because he said no? What did Charlie turn down from Bibi Netanyahu?
So you got Candace Owens saying all these sorts of things. She was obviously friends with Charlie Kirk. Now, I mean, a lot of conservatives look at the Tyler Robinson case and say, look, it's open and shut. The guy confessed to multiple different people. His parents turned him in to the sheriff's office. You have his DNA all over the murder weapon. You have what appears to be him on film taking the shot. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then you have purportedly one of Charlie Kirk's best friends basically trying to get this guy off, trying to OJ him, right? With all sorts of crazy theories. What any sane person would describe as like crazy theories. Exploding microphones placed by Benjamin Netanyahu, and maybe they were trying to kill her. It was supposed to be her, but they killed Charlie instead. All this stuff, right? So what's going on? There's a couple possibilities. Number one is that she's crazy, which I wonder if I have this quote. Oh, man. I would have to find it. Let me see if I got it here. I'm just going to put Candace Owens crazy and see if it pops up. No. Anyways, there was an associate who was working with her. Let me see if I can find it in a previous little thing here, actually. Carol, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to find missed info. Dang. Well, there was a friend of hers. I guess it was this guy who was when she was like first starting out as a conservative, he was paying for her. He like offered to help her because she didn't have any money. This is his story. She didn't have any money. Couldn't fix her tires on her car. And so he was like, well, how much money do you need? And she was like, oh, I need $1,000 a month. And he was like, I'll give you 2,000. And she was like, well, why? And he was like, because I want to help you out. Like, I think you got talent. I think you're smart. You're beautiful. Want to see you succeed. I know it's hard. I'm going to bankroll you, basically, right? And he has this story where he's talking to Charlie Kirk. The guy was like friends with Charlie Kirk. And I guess he paid for her for like 2 months. This was when she was very new. She wasn't famous. She wasn't on the Daily Wire or anything like that. And then middle of the way through, he just gets a random text from her, he says. And the text just says stuff along the lines of like, you're not who I thought you were. You pretend to be something and you're not. Lose my number. I don't want anything to do with you. You know, and he says, well, like this text just came out of nowhere. He texted her back, like, what's going on? And she said, was that not clear? Lose my number, right? The guy says he brought that up to Charlie Kirk one time, and Charlie Kirk pointed at his phone and said, some people never change, right? So if you're thinking that she's crazy, that is certainly evidence that she's just maybe a little wild, maybe a little bit crazy, and kind of comes up with this stuff. But for me, she seems too smart to really be crazy. She's got that kind of Kanye West energy about her. I like framing her or reframing her as like the female Kanye West, because she walks that fine line between genius and insanity so well that sometimes you just can't tell the difference anymore. You know, you're like, it starts to sound so crazy, but then she's so smart. You're like, wait, am I the crazy one? Did Tyler Robinson not do it? Is there a possibility it was an exploding mic? Right. The other possibility, if she's not crazy, is that she wants to make money, and she's just very money focused. If you look at what she's doing, certainly the things that she's doing are the things that are going to get the most views. They're the things that are going to generate the most engagement. And when you're talking about making money online, and I've done this a little bit, for me, I can see it. It's impossible not to see it. You know, when I post regular content, regular jokes, they do okay. When I post like a really good racist joke, skyrocketing engagement. Skyrocketing. So it's hard if you're a creator not to look at those things and go like, every time I post this type of thing, it's like 10x what I normally get. So whether you're conscious of it or not, right? Same thing as Amy Coney Barrett. that's going to influence you in some way, right? And you're going to be like, even if you're unaware of it, I'm probably posting more inflammatory stuff than I normally would, right? Because I'm being conditioned by that algorithm. Now, she's not only being conditioned by the algorithm, she's getting a lot of money from this, which I am not. She's getting like millions and millions of dollars from this stuff. She has millions of followers and subscribers, right? So she is really good at the way I kind of view Candace Owens. Her and Ian Carroll, I think, is the other guy. Ian Carroll is a guy that I recently discovered. He's sort of on Twitter and I guess has a YouTube show. And he's just basically a big conspiracy theory guy, you know? This guy's got like 7 million subscribers on YouTube or something, right? And they both sort of do the same thing, which is they're still riding that COVID wave, right? Which I just want to say, like, look, it was 6 years ago. We get it, right? There was one conspiracy theory that turned out true. I feel like that's the problem with COVID, is it was the one conspiracy that everybody could see turned out to be true. And so then that makes you think that every other conspiracy theory must be true. And these two certainly bring it up over and over and over again, referencing COVID. Candace just had a tweet recently the other day. Let me see if I can find it on her timeline. Candace, Owens. If you're here too. Here's your tweet. She's talking about this theory she has that all of the white guys at the rally where Charlie Kirk was shot were wearing maroon T-shirts, and somehow that was some hidden signal to one another that they were working together. Which I don't know if I have the tweet here, but I posted a tweet with the Maroon 5 saying you should look into these guys. Good lead. But she says here, but at first we must be called psychopathic killers with narcissistic tendencies, like we were during COVID and every other conspiracy we've been proven right on. What other conspiracy? Just COVID, right? But these guys, her and Ian Carroll, will kick this dead horse. They will milk it for as much money as they can get for as long as they possibly can, right? They all lied. This is sort of like its own genre, right? Like this sort of, it's almost like murder mysteries. You know how chicks are really into murder mysteries? This is like the guy version of that. Just conspiracy theory mysteries online about Epstein's Island, whodunit, Charlie Kirk, assassin, magic bullets. Since JFK, the magic bullets have been a really popular murder mystery online. People just, it's like if you're watching a movie versus a documentary, which one is going to be more exciting? The movie, right? Because it's make-believe. They got a bunch of action shots. They got a fun plot line. The documentary can be cool, but it's based on real life. It's less exciting. For me to sit here and talk about Tyler Robinson and why it's pretty plain to see that he did it, that's not that exciting. But when we're talking about Israeli spies trying to kill Candace, but actually they missed and got Charlie instead, that's a fun plot line. That's a movie you can watch. So I feel like I would lean more towards what Candace does as a form of entertainment. And certainly if she does get sued by the Macrons, I think she has a hearing coming up on July 27th where she's trying to get the case dismissed. If that's not dismissed, she is going to go to trial against the Macrons. And what's she going to say there? What's her defense going to be? Her defense is going to be that her show is fictional. Spoiler alert. That's going to be her old defense. It's the same thing that Alex Jones does when he gets taken to court. She's going to say, hey, this is an entertainment show. I have theories that I put forward. None of them should be taken as truth. And I think that's what she's doing, There is a possibility that she believes stuff that she says and that she actually is crazy, though. That's from that one guy who was talking about it. It sounds possible. I think if I had to guess, it's probably some sort of a blend of the two. She's probably just like that as a person. But she's probably also aware of what makes money. And if you look at her getting fired from the Daily Wire, having to go off and start on her own and make up that income gap that she was getting at the Daily Wire, what's the easiest way for her to do that? Is it for her to go off and start a low-key YouTube channel where she discusses the news? Or is it for her to become the conspiracy theory queen and drop Macron's a man and then follow it up with, hey, maybe Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk? Certainly when she's pressed on any of these things, she refuses to do any debates. She refuses to actually, underwrite her positions. But when she's pressed on any of them, she just, sort of says, hey, I'm just asking questions, right? Isn't it okay for me to ask questions? So that seems like it's all fictional, it's all entertainment defense. And that'd be my guess with her. What else we got here? The other thing that I was going to mention, because I don't know if many of you know this, but I'm a little bit of a drug addict. Past. I guess never really passed, but 7 years sober. Used to be addicted to a bunch of different stuff. Painkillers at one point, alcohol. Anyways, long story short, when you come off of drugs, there's this thing called the hedonic set point or the hedonic threshold, all right? And what that means is like normal people, they have this pleasure point called the hedonic threshold. And let's say it's like right here, right? So if you do anything that's above that threshold, you'll feel pleasure. Like if you go out to eat with your friends, now you're like up here. So you're like, hey, I feel good. That's nice. If you exercise, you're up here. You're like, hey, nice. With drugs, you take so many drugs that you actually reset your hedonic threshold. So it goes up to like here. Okay? So that's why when addicts try to quit, all of a sudden they try to go out to dinner with their friends and it's only like still right here. They try to exercise, it's only like right here. It's never going to reach where they're used to now because they have a new pleasure set point, right? And I feel like that's what's happening with us online a little bit, because I certainly feel some form of an addiction to my phone. And now you have this kind of, it used to be if you wanted to feel pleasure, you could sit down, you could read a book, right? It's a little longer form. It takes a while. That hedonic pleasure point is right around here. Now people are used to getting immediate hits, scrolling right past, 3-second hit, another 3-second hit, another 3-second hit, another 3-second hit. They're used to COVID and conspiracy theories that are proven true and Trump almost getting shot, right? So I feel like everyone's hedonic set point now for the internet is like up here. And I feel like that's what Candace and Ian Carroll are aware of, is in order to be successful, like really successful online, you can't play here. You need to play like up here. And I think that's what they create for their audiences, is they raise the excitement of reality to an embellished point. That's at least what I imagine, because I just can't imagine that either of these people are truly that dumb. I mean, I can't imagine that they're that stupid, is the truth. But tough to get out of if you're a person with the higher threshold. We had news today that ICE has suspended vehicle stops. We were talking about this in the joke monologue. What the hell is this? Okay, Justin ICE officers. This is related to, there were two, we had the Renee Good shooting, obviously, the Alex Preddy shooting. Those happened, what was it now, 5-6 months ago, somewhere around there. Big protests when those happened. I think they were both in Minneapolis, weren't they? Or Seattle, one of those two. So they were in one of those places where the protesters always pop off about ICE, in other words, right? But two recent, and we know that when those happened, specifically the Preddy shooting, Trump was not happy. And he called for, I think that's when he brought Tom Homan in to oversee ICE operations to try and improve the public image. Well, now we had two more recent shootings with illegal immigrants who reportedly either tried to ram an officer with their vehicle or just tried to escape. We're told to stop, guns drawn. They probably floored it in the direction of an officer, were shot and killed, right? So now you have, I suppose it's Trump, but somebody basically suspending vehicle stops, which honestly, to me, isn't a bad idea at this point. I do think that you do want to cool the temperature a little bit. And the easiest thing that you can do is to just say, hey, if these are turning into situations where the officers are afraid for their lives, which they should be, they shoot, ask questions later. Let's just suspend the vehicle stops. It's not worth it having dead illegal immigrants on TV and these people losing their lives over this, something that doesn't necessarily need to happen unless it's a dangerous illegal immigrant, right? So I don't really mind that. We're hearing that it's temporary as well. So I don't mind them putting a pause on the vehicle stops, especially with the kind of press that it's getting. Although we're not really seeing the types of protests that popped off around Renee Good and Alex Preddy. I think just generally because I think you saw those protests mainly in Minneapolis, which are kind of Minneapolis and Seattle, which are very like leftist stalwart places where they're funded for those protests and the people are amped about it. They're going to go protest. But I think the general American public sorta is okay with the idea that if you're illegally in this country and a cop tells you to stop and you floor it and it looks like you might maybe will, maybe won't hit them, they kind of get the cop shooting them, honestly. And I think that's why you're not seeing like widespread protests. This is protest season too, right? This is when George Floyd would have gone down. But nothing. Haven't heard anything. But as a good precaution, they're suspending the stops anyways, just to avoid any increased temperatures, which is probably a good thing right now. What else we got? Went over Amy Coney Barrett. We got a big Thursday speech from Trump coming up. So he's making a national address on Thursday night. Now, the rumor is that this is going to be a speech on election interference. Election interference. Some people are saying it's going to be about two senators in Georgia, I forget what their names are, from, 2022, I believe, that Trump is going to declare were elected illegitimately and that he's going to try to get it overturned, right? There's also rumors that it's going to be about foreign interference in the elections, non-Russian, right? So maybe China's involved, maybe something like that. Somebody brought up something interesting a second ago. Let me see if I can find it. They were basically saying, what happened to that Venezuelan dictator that Trump went and captured and kidnapped not too long ago, right? Because you want to get rid of Maduro, you could have just dropped a bomb right on his head, right? But you didn't. Trump actually went in and he wanted him so bad alive that he sent in special forces to go kidnap him and bring him to prison in the United States. Why? Well, a lot of people are speculating that is because Maduro had a hand to play in influencing American elections. And the idea with bringing him to the States was to get him to talk, to get him to squeal. So I do think that's actually an interesting theory. Just from what I've heard, I do think that there's 50-50 chance that that's partially why they did bring Maduro. I don't know that that's true, but I'm really excited to hear what happens on Thursday if this does end up being about election interference. Here's Trump talking about it himself, so it seems like that is what he's going to discuss.
Announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell
Well,
the
I'd
audience
rather
in
save
America?
it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to
Why
say
should people
also.
watch, though?
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
So pretty huge. I'll be covering that. I am interested to see if he has some actual proof of election interference in either 2020 or 2022, the midterms that we're going to see on Thursday. Let me see what this tweet's about. I have it bookmarked for some reason. Yeah, I mean, there's some speculation basically about whether this is going to be about the senators from Georgia or not. Somebody who brought it up ended up walking it back. So we don't know the specifics yet. But it's about election interference, which should be good. What else we got? Let's do the jokes one more time. I'll give you guys some jokes. And maybe we'll talk about Conor McGregor a little bit. Where's this stuff? Wait. I gotta get my teleprompter to work. Okay, cool. I write them, but they are in a teleprompter. Well, Conor McGregor tore his knee on the opening kick of UFC 329. Yeah. Now, this is after breaking his other leg in his last fight 5 years ago. Yeah. Apparently, after the fight, he went and got a new tattoo. Yeah. Looks good. It's more up to date for the 37-year-old McGregor. Well, a parasite causing explosive diarrhea has now spread to more than 30 U.S. states. Yeah. Yeah, the outbreak was caused by Democrats trying to explain why mail-in ballots are totally normal. That's the way our elections have always been, and Democrats just vote for it by mail than Republicans. So if you really think about it, that's just exactly how everything should work, is simple explanation. Well, after 2 recent shootings, ICE is suspending vehicle stops. Yeah. Yeah, so in order for Mexican immigrants to stay in the country, they just can't park, which is a technique used for generations by Asian immigrants. Yeah. Mexicans could learn a lot from the Asians about not parking. All right, Conor McGregor. Let's get into this guy a little bit. I know some of you won't care. Oh, let's pull up Twitter. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, I'm sure everybody knows Conor McGregor, he's away for 5 years after breaking his leg. People really anticipating this match. Comes out here. First kick of the match. Right there, you saw it. Reportedly either tears his meniscus, his ACL, something like that in this knee. I think we have a better shot of the kick here. This is the kick that he throws. Immediately hurt.
Now watch his right leg.
Now, just to point out, this is a terrible kick. All right? I don't know why it's twitching, why Conor McGregor's twitching in midair, but okay. This is like, if I had to name this kick, it would be called like the AC. It would be called the meniscus terror. Right? Stop twitching. It's basically, you can see he's going up for like, it's a running switch kick. If he keeps twitching, I can't talk. Oh my God. It's a running switch kick, all right? Which is where basically the fighter's bringing up one leg, and in midair he's switching to the other leg to kick. It's like what the Karate Kid did, actually. Where he like puts one leg up, he jumps and kicks with the other leg, right? That's what he's doing. And apparently this is something he practiced. They got him backstage practicing this kick. Okay, I think you can see it here, actually. What's the way? Okay, here's him practicing the switch kick backstage. Okay. Before the fight. Boom. So you trick him, you can think it's coming from his left side. Actually, the kick comes over here. That's the idea. And it's a running switch kick, right? Here's the problem. You can see he's landing on that foot laterally even in the practice, right? Which is the big problem with this kick. We'll get into it here. Let's see if we can get a good shot of it. Oh, not there. Okay. When you land with your foot like this, you see how his foot's already sideways? So there's not, you don't want forward force coming on your knee and planting your foot laterally like that. That's why I say this is just a terrible kick. Now, normally fighters will turn out their foot like he's doing in a stationary kick like that. It looks like, I don't know if we have the video of him doing that, but basically like you would turn that foot out, you would throw the kick without moving. And the reason that you turn your foot out is to avoid a knee injury. to turn your foot out because your hips are turning over along with that foot, right? What he's doing is he's running forward, and then in midair, he's turning his hips, but he's forcing himself to land on that lateral foot now rather than turning it out. So it's almost like if you're landing on that lateral foot, now you're not turning it with the kick. You're trying to stop it and get it not to turn while the rest of your body's turning this way. So you're almost heel hooking yourself in a running kick, right? Now, McGregor has famously gotten away with these kicks for years. He always does some crazy stuff like that, but he always does that when he's, number one, 30 pounds lighter at featherweight than he was at welterweight, and 10 years younger, when his body can probably just handle the dynamics of a really bad kick like that is really designed to tear your knee up. His body just probably happened to be able to handle those things and have slightly better balance and get through it, whereas here, immediately tweaks his knee,
You can see it in his face.
falls, and then can't go the rest of the fight. So that was a letdown. Do I think Conor McGregor will be back? I do, actually. There's a lot of people saying it's over, he's washed, he can't come back. I actually think that is a weird... It's not a freak accident because he really stupidly threw the kick on purpose. You know, like, give it a sec if you're coming on after a 5-year layoff, right? But he... it is sort of a weird injury, and I do think he can still be good. Just seeing him even hurt throwing punches, he's such a crazy puncher. It's just fun to watch. He's got a lot of energy. I would like to see him come back focusing on technique and just solid technique rather than trying to win fights on aggression and energy and that old energy alone, because you're a little bit older now and it's going to be a little bit tougher to do that, right? He was never a guy with a huge gas tank anyways. So that's about it for the night, for the show. We'll be back. It's typically Monday through Friday, usually around 9 p.m. I live stream, or you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, do shorts on there all the time, little sketches and stuff like that.